Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie. I had more of a fun time seeing this in the lobby than what I just saw.
So Rusty Crowe is back in the sequel to his billion-dollar smash hit, The Pope's Exorcism. This time around, we see the... What? It's not a sequel. Are you sure? Have you seen the poster? He looks exactly the same, just like a bit more disheveled. So it's not a sequel. Okay. So I just got done seeing The Exorcism starring Russell Crowe as Anthony, a struggling actor, alcoholic who has a very strange relationship with his daughter. He gets the role of a lifetime as a priest in an exorcism movie after the unfortunate death of the lead actor in the film. He essentially replaces the lead actor. Things start to go wrong on set, and Rusty's character is wondering if it's him or if there's something else foul at play. All the while, his estranged daughter is wondering if his demons are literally coming back to haunt him. Again, when this was announced and I saw the trailer, I thought this was a sequel to The Pope's Exorcist. Funny enough, this was actually filmed back in 2019, way before The Pope's Exorcist. Now, the director and the co-writer of this film is Joshua John Miller. Now, his father was Jason Miller, who played Father Damien Karras in the original Exorcist film from 1973. So is that nice piece of family tree lineage with the son stepping out to co-write and direct this film. Now on paper, the storyline sounds pretty good. You know, you got a deadbeat dad, an alcoholic who's a struggling actor that gets the role of a lifetime. So you see the behind the scenes, the ins and outs of Hollywood working in film. All the while there is a possession going on here. So it is a possession film at heart. And I can honestly say this is one of the most boring films I have seen, guys. And I take no pleasure in saying that. It had so much good and so much potential going for it with some incredible actors in this. You also have David Hyde Pierce and Sam Worthington giving a small little performance that I actually could bear and didn't cringe at. And I know I can't talk. I know I can't act my way out of a paper bag, but Sam Worthington hasn't exactly had the greatest run in terms of his acting abilities, and I didn't mind him in this. And of course, David Hyde Pierce, my God, David Hyde Pierce is just great in anything. Now, yes, we do see the usual tropes of the deadbeat dad wanting to reconnect with his daughter after the loss of his wife and hitting the bottle and yada yada yada. I will give Rusty this. His performance is pretty top notch in this. You can tell he actually gave a shit, and by the end, like it does get very hokey in the climax of the film. But in the first act, it's brilliant. I love the chemistry between himself, his daughter, played by Ryan Simpkins. I think they had great chemistry, and you could definitely tell there is tension right there. But I also love seeing him going to audition for this film and his restraint of not being able to deliver those lines because of his alcoholism, his brain fog. I love seeing stuff like that. Once he gets cast in the film, you see them going to the set, to the soundstage, and his daughter actually gets hired as a PA, which is quite neat. And you see all the behind the scenes going on. You see a stunt mask of Rusty, the animatronics, the special effects that they're going to be using in the film. I love all that. And then unfortunately, the film just turns to shit, and it doesn't know if it wants to be a slow burn psychological thriller like The Exorcist, which they essentially pitch it as without mentioning The Exorcist until halfway through the film. So we don't know if The Exorcist doesn't exist at one point, but then all of a sudden it does. Because essentially what they are pitching this film to be, that is in the film, is The Exorcist. And the film attempts to do the slow burn aspect of the possession and what's lingering in the background, but it's so slow it seemingly comes to a stop with the momentum and pacing and just gives up on what it's set up in the first act. And the film ultimately suffers from an identity crisis. Again, it doesn't know if it wants to be a slow burn psychological thriller or a slash and dash horror film. And quite frankly, what I saw and what they set up in the first act, I'd like them to continue that without the horror aspect. This could have totally been pitched very similar to The Wrestler, where you have a washed up performer who's trying to get back in their heyday, get back to their roots and reconnect with their family, all the while trying to film an exorcism film. But it's not about the horror elements. It could be an analogy for the possession and the demons that are going on in the film that Rusty's character is filming, for the demons he is battling in real life with alcoholism and drug use. I would totally watch that, but the horror elements just slip by the wayside, and by the third act and the climax of the film just come off as hokey. And honestly, guys, there's not much else to say about this one. Like, we're in an age where exorcism movies are a dime a dozen. They're trying to recapture what was birthed in the 70s with the first Exorcist, and nothing's really come close. Am I bored with possession films at this point? Probably. But when you have a film that doesn't know if it wants to be a slow burn psychological thriller or a slash and dash horror film, you lose my attention. Like, just commit to one direction. Not the band, the pacing of the film. And at one point it feels like we are watching the movie that Rusty's character is filming in the film, and it comes off as almost a spoof, if that makes sense. The third act, the climax, the exorcism, just again comes off as hokey and almost a spoof of what its original intentions are. And honestly, it just has nothing new to offer. I got massive straight to streaming, straight to DVD vibes with this one, guys. Nothing really memorable, and with that, I'm gonna be giving the Popes Exorcist 2 Crucify This 1.5 fight around the worlds out of 5. Again, I would have loved to have seen what this film had have looked like if there was no supernatural elements, but we had a man who is battling demons of alcoholism, drug use, who happens to be an actor filming an exorcism movie whilst trying to reconnect with his daughter. Like a nice little small budget drama. I think that definitely could have worked. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.